And we're back, guys. How's everyone doing? We have the finals to talk about. Yes, it's early. Good morning, but tennis is life. Let's get it on. We have the number one ranked player in the world, guys, taking on Qinwen. Yes, and Aryna Sabalenka is having the best season of her career. Another 50 win season. She won 59 matches last year. Last year, she went 59 and 15. This year, 54 and 12. Can she end this season ranked number one? Can she win her first ever WTA finals? Now, we know she's been in the WTA finals for a while now, right? Several consecutive years, but she has not won the big one. Will it happen this year? Taking on someone in the first round, the purple team. We're going to discuss the groups in our next video. But right now, we're going to take a look at this matchup. Sabalenka has defeated Qinwen 4 straight times. All 4 times they've played, by the way. And I've told you, even if we go back to last year, their first meeting at the U.S. Open, I said, I don't think she's ever going to beat Sabalenka. It's just a tough matchup. What do you guys think? Comment below right now. Now, my personal opinion is Sabalenka is just a little too powerful. She's a little too strong, and we've seen that with other players, especially having the best year of her career. Now, she started things off in Brisbane. She made the championship match there where she lost to Aryna Rybakina in the final. But listen, I talked about that matchup. So, yes, it was the first tournament of the season for the ladies, for Sabalenka in particular, Aryna Rybakina, but it just seemed like she was too nonchalant. It seemed like she wasn't really playing her hardest in that final. I mean, she got a bagel in the first set. But getting to the final, she took out some tough competition, right? Dasha, Vika. She would then head full steam into the Australian Open, winning 7 in a row, taking out Qinwen in the championship match. Coco to get there. But I talked about her schedule. The draw was very, very subpar. I mean, listen, Seidel in the first round, Brenda Favortova, Sorenko, who just 2 bagels, who just doesn't want to play against the Russian and Belarus players. Amanda, who was ranked like 500. Barbora, who was injured. And, talk about qualifiers. Brenda, Seidel, and Coco, who was up 30 love with a chance, 2 more points to win the set. Couldn't do it. Again, up love 30 on Sabalenka serve in the second set. Couldn't break to hold and win the second set. But she played her best tennis against Qinwen, right? Other notable worthy appearances last year, or this year rather, Madrid against Iga Swiatek in the final where she would lose, but again, beating Rybakina in the semifinal. Mira Andreeva in the quarter, Danielle Collins, Robin Montgomery, who, by the way, watch out for her next year, Coco's bestie. Rome final again, facing Iga Swiatek. That was a really, really good matchup, right? In Rome, remember that? Iga Swiatek, that matchup there. Now, Sabalenka would then go, let's just fast forward a little bit. She took off the summer, essentially, July, right? Everyone was in Paris. She decided to work on her game. A lot of things went on early in the season, especially if we talk about Miami, right? We all know that the loss of her ex-boyfriend. So it kind of hindered, if in my personal opinion, I think it hindered some of those performances, especially the clay championships back to back. Even though she made the finals, she took out tough competition like Danielle Collins, Ostapenko, Svitolina, Diana Yastremska. I do feel that she's one of the better clay players, and that's represented by her record on clay, 15-4 this year, right? But quarterfinal in the French Open, that's nothing to sneeze about. She should have won Washington, I felt, with all the top stars coming back from France, not participating in that tournament. But then again, there was quite a layoff period from Berlin into Washington, right? A long time. We're talking about a month and a half. But let's fast forward to Cincinnati, where she took out Pegula. She beat Egon Hart. She beat Ludmilla. She beats Svitolina. And then I say it all the time. When you're talking about who's going to win the U.S. Open, you have to look at the players that are doing well in Cincinnati and at the Western and Southern Open and even D.C. These are players you have to watch out every year to win the U.S. Open. And sure enough, Sabalenka won the U.S. Open. She vowed that she would come back and do better. And certainly enough, she won it. But she also won Wuhan, where she took out Qinwen. Coco, again, a matchup Coco had, 19 double faults, and still Coco gave Sabalenka a scare in that match. Magdalena Frech, the multi-dimensional Yulia Putintseva. Can she beat Qinwen again? Sabalenka's had an amazing season. We all know she's, for the most part, worked out the kinks in her serve. Very powerful serve. Her +1, +2. When she steps up, she's going to destroy you. That cross-court forehand. She's just going to blast you off of the court. In between long exchanges and rallies, she's looking to hit forehand winners. Taking on Qinwen, who, again, having her best season as a professional after coming off that elite final performance last year against Beatrice, where she was down and looked like she was out. She came back, made it a match, and that propelled her into this year. Again, making the Australian Open final a tougher schedule than the person she would lose to in the final. I mean, Katie Bolter, Wong, Dodin, right? Good serve, a lot of power. Anna Kalinskaya, very, very good shot maker. Diana Anstremka, who's played the best tennis of her career since 2019. She kind of struggled against the early African leg of the tour, but she got hot, I'd say probably in Rome, making the quarterfinal in Rome. That's when she started to pick up and things started to get better. The French Open, she made the third round before losing to Alina Evanesian. But Palermo, guys, she would get back on the board, winning a championship, taking out Karolina Mukova, Diane Perry, Jacqueline Christian, Petra Martic, Sarah Irani in the Olympics, guys. The big thing this year for Qinwen was winning the gold medal at the Olympics, where she took out Sarah Irani again, or Ransa Rus. Emma Navarro, a lot of drama with Emma Navarro. Emma Navarro just talking about, look, she seems fake. Seems like she doesn't have a lot of respect for her players. Not exactly in those words, but, you get the drift. We heard the comments from Emma Navarro. I don't really pay too much attention to that because Qinwen said it. I mean, she said when she lost her coach to Osaka, she wanted to kill people, right? And the reality here is when you're a competitor, and I feel that Qinwen's one of the few players on tour that has that mental toughness, you're not there to be friends. I don't care what you think about me. I'm not there to be your best friend. I'm there to destroy you. After the match, we can be cordial. We can talk. And I feel that's how Qinwen is. She's a competitor, guys. So I'm not really concerned with Emma Navarro said. If it was something that was personal, where she personally disrespected her, that's a different story. She took out Kerber. Iga Swiatek and Donna Vekic does what Qinwen wants her to do. She won the gold medal. Amazing. That's a career right there, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the U.S. Open, she would lose to Sabalenka in the quarterfinals. But again, another great run in Queens, Flushing, Chinatown, right down the street. A lot of support for Qinwen in New York City. Beijing, semifinal for losing to Mukova. She beat Mara Andreeva and Amanda Anisimova, Kamila Rakimova. Wuhan, final again before losing to Sabalenka. Tokyo, final again, where she would take out big game Sophia Kenin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, who's going to win this matchup? Qinwen has never defeated Sabalenka. In fact, she only won her first set this past month in Wuhan against Sabalenka. That's right. She won the second set 7-5, but she lost the first and the third set 6-3. This is a matchup here where if I think Qinwen's to win, she's going to have to put up double-digit aces, right? She's going to have to win service games without exchanging these just deadly exchanges in these powerful forehands from Sabalenka. The problem Qinwen has is I watch a lot of ITF tennis. We all know that all day long, especially if there's no main tour matches. But even still, I love watching lower level because these are the future stars. But you kind of see how the players that don't have possibly the best coaches have to game plan and put together a strategy in game to defeat their opponents. The problem with Qinwen taking on Sabalenka is when there's a power difference, there's only a few things you can do. Qinwen's got some very deep, flat balls she can go to, but she's not a good defensive player. And I've talked about this her entire career. I think she's amazing, but she doesn't have that type of defense where she can absorb pace, she can go to high top spin and slow down these rallies. Now, she does like to play on clay, so I do want to acknowledge that. I mean, of her 230 wins, 81 have come on clay. She's got a really good clay win percentage. I mean, she plays 10 clay matches. She wins about 8 of them, which is really good. But hard, you could kind of say hard is the surface where, despite winning Palermo, hard is the surface where she's making a name for herself. And a lot of her clay matches really started around, I like to call it the lockout or pandemic, if you will. Her best clay season, 26-3, came during that time where there was really no hard courts to play on, and she was playing a lot of clay. So a lot of her wins came from that season. But I primarily consider Qinwen a hard court player, right? And the problem is her defense lacks on hard, right? We all know faster surface than clay. And when you don't have that type of defense taking on someone like Sabalenka, she's athletic. She does have the athletic ability, but I don't think she has the ability to defend the net or the baseline with those deep rockets from Sabalenka. It's just her balls they're just deep, they're flat, they're angled, and it's nothing to do with Qinwen per se. Anyone that Sabalenka faces has that issue to deal with. But when you're not a good defensive player, you're not breaking your opponents, like the top tier players, like the Cocos of the world, like the Igas Swiatek's of the world, then you're going to struggle overall. And this is just a matchup here where I just think it's a tough matchup for Qinwen. The power of Sabalenka just puts her on the back foot early. And it's just a type of match where I just feel if they play 10 times, I think Sabalenka's just going to keep winning matches against her because she's able to overpower her. Now, I talk a lot about Qinwen and her defense, right? I've been talking about this for a long time. Is it going to change? Is it going to improve? It has improved. Now, her return games won, for the most part, it's 37% this year, but the elite defenders are at that 50 percentile range, meaning if they get broken or if they have a bad service game or they're double faulting a lot, their opponent surges ahead, they can break back a lot of times and level it out. Qinwen, not necessarily. Now, she can hold, and I talked about how Qinwen wins, about 77% of her service games, which is a solid number, just under that 80 percentile. She's going to hold and extend matches, which is really good, right? If she's winning her first serve, she does that at about 76%, then she's going to have a good opportunity to hold. If her opponent slips up, makes mistakes, then she can win a match. It's good to see her finally win a set off of Sabalenka. The first 3 matches, she lost 6 sets in a row. Actually 7, because she lost that first set in Wuhan. So it's good to see her finally win. But I think a lot of that had to do with the crowd and maybe Sabalenka's level dropping, which she's not necessarily going to do a lot of the time, right? I would like to see her win more first return points, especially against Sabalenka, where she only wins about 38% of her first return points. She does step in on the second serve and win about 55% of her second return points. She's going to have to focus on both if she's going to beat Sabalenka, who just hits too darn hard. Now, Sabalenka, guys, wins about just under 80% of her service games. She overpowers opponents, puts them on the back foot early. She wins about 70% of her first serves. Sabalenka's defense is not great either. She wins about 39% of her return games, and she's vulnerable at the net. But this is why Qinwen struggles. Qinwen's just not a good net player. She wants the baseline. She wants to hit deep balls. Coming forward, both of these ladies, they end up in like no women's land, right? Where they're just, but I will give Sabalenka the edge when it comes to the net. She does have a good drop shot. She's got a long reach, and she can easily clear the net with their drop shots. I feel this is something Reba's got to continue to work on with Qinwen if she's going to be an all-around dominant player. She has to be able to beat you short range, and right now I just don't think she can do it. If Sabalenka has a bad service game, Qinwen can surge ahead, and it's possible she can win sets against it's possible she can win another set against Sabalenka. Now, in terms of the metrics here, it's a WTA final, so I feel that Qinwen she's getting a little bit more respect in this spot here, especially winning a set in Wuhan. Because it's the finals, we have the best of the best. I think we're kind of looking past the fact that Sabalenka's been so dominant in this matchup. And therefore, there's just no way I could pick Qinwen to win this match. There's no way I can do it. Can she beat Sabalenka? She can. And in fact, they're kind of playing around. Not really a match I want to dig deep in. I don't have the time to break down the numerology, but I can see on the surface level they're playing around a little bit with the numerology here, kind of insisting that Qinwen will win a set at least. But I'm going to go with Sabalenka to win this match. I think Sabalenka's too strong, and I just think she's too good and too experienced. So I like Sabalenka to win this match and start things off. And remember, guys, when it comes to the WTA finals, the first match is critical. You have to win that first match. And I like Sabalenka to get off to a good start here. In the previous video, I did give you a prediction with Elena Rybakina and Jasmine Polini. So watch that video as well. And we're going to talk about Coco and Pegula and Iga and Barbora. Now, I do feel that the draw here, again, they're kind of playing funny business with the draw. Listen, guys, if you're the number one seed, the 8th seeded player should be in your draw. Not the 7th seeded player, the 8th seeded player. So the draw is kind of screwed up. And again, the controversy with Emma Navarro, Danielle, there's a lot. The tour's going to do what they want, right? But I do feel the 8th seeded player should be in your draw if you're the number one player. Sabalenka should be playing Barbora in the first round. Therefore, you put Qinwen in Coco's draw. All the players that Coco has beat and dominated are in the purple draw, right? What's up with that? She's never lost to Polini. She's never lost to Qinwen. And in fact, she owned the head-to-head against Sabalenka 4-2 at one point. All the players Coco struggles with is in her draw. Pegula. She never beat Barbora. They played once. And Iga. Interesting, right? But again, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Sabalenka to win, that's a pick. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about Coco next.